What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So today is the last and final TikTok compilation. First time you realized America has messed you up. Now, I'm sure this could go on forever and ever and ever, but yeah, this is the last one that I could see. So maybe they have more. I'm not seeing it. Either way, we're doing this one. By TikTok React. At the end of this video, I will have a playlist of all 6 of these if you guys want to watch them. So that'll be ready for you. All right, let's check it out.
If you're an American currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really messed you up?
I got one. I moved to Italy about a month ago, and my roommate is from Spain, and we were talking about things to do outside since the weather was getting nicer, like rent bikes, take walks, and she said we should have a shooting. And I said, a what? She said, a shooting. Like, let's go have a shooting. I was like, and she was like, yeah, like, let's go get dressed up and take some cute pictures by, like, the canals or something. Pictures.
Oh, I had no idea that was called that. Huh, interesting.
In the US, I could not let my 11-year-old son go outside and play by himself. Someone would call the cops or something would legitimately happen to him, and so there was no way. And when I moved to Germany, my husband, who's a German national, suggested that he go outside and play by himself because we would not have to worry.
Yeah, and that's been a huge thing. Is I guess people like to steal kids. A lot of them. A lot of kids come up missing every year. I don't know the statistics of it, but I know it's not good.
Not living abroad anymore, but I was from 2010 to 2011. I was living in Uppsala, Sweden, which is like about 45 minutes north of Stockholm. And this was before any major civil unrest was happening in the country or Trump or anything. This was like 10 years ago. I was out with friends and we started talking about how this Swedish girl happened to have cancer and how it's completely taken care of by their government. All of her health care, all of her bills are paid for. The odds are that she will definitely get over cancer. So I go up to my 2 friends, one from Australia, one from Canada, and I say, oh my God, you guys, did you hear? She has cancer and the government's completely taking care of all of her bills. Isn't that amazing? Like, oh my God. And then my friends replied, Sabrin, you realize that you are the weird ones. Americans are the only ones that don't have that program. That was the first of many moments where I was embarrassed to be an American.
Yeah, and I think that's a little shit. So another thing that really gets my goat here is with healthcare. Is so if you have a predetermined illness, a lot of insurances won't accept you. So like say you find out you have cancer, shoot, I don't have health insurance. You sign up for health insurance, you tell them that you have cancer, they will most likely deny you. And so it's always a good thing if to not get diagnosed with it before you have the insurance, or like no record of like anything going on, which that is crazy to me. It really is. That's not right.
That was the first of many moments where I was embarrassed to be an American.
It's not current, but when I was studying in the UK, one day I really needed to see a doctor. But I didn't know how to access care. I didn't know what my insurance situation was like, so I just went to work. And eventually I was in so much pain that I burst into tears and my boss pulled me aside. And he was like, what's up? And I was like, I really need to see a doctor, but I don't know how to access care here. I don't know if I can afford it. And he was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Go down the street to the hospital. And I argued with him. And he was like, no, just trust me, just go to the hospital. So I went and I was like clutching my like student ID in my hand, my passport. And I was like trying to remember how much I had in my bank account, like checking. And I got called back to the doctor. He was like, yep, this is what's wrong with you. Pick up your prescription on the way out. And I was like, I'm sorry, do you know how much it's going to be? And he said, I don't know, maybe 8 pounds. I was like, I'm sorry, 8? He was like, yeah, I don't think it's ever more than that. The receptionist kept laughing at me because I didn't feel comfortable leaving without paying somebody. And I kept asking and asking if I owed anybody any money.
So I don't live in Europe, but I was visiting relatives in the UK a couple of years ago and my inhaler got destroyed. They convinced me to talk to the pharmacist first before seeing a doctor in case I didn't need to. And the pharmacist said, yes, of course, we can refill this for you. No problem. It's a life-saving medication. And I'm like, great. And the pharmacist says, I did want to warn you though, I'm very sorry. The price has gone up. And I'm just thinking the worst. And he says, yes, I'm very sorry. It's going to be £8.80. I said, £8.80. And he said, yeah, it's going to be £8.80. I'm really sorry. The prices just keep going up. And that is when I realized that the U.S. health insurance system is well and truly because that £8.80 prescription in the UK with really good health insurance costs me $50 per inhaler in the United States for a medication I need to literally live.
Yeah. So, yeah, my grandma we just went and picked up an inhaler for her, $70 for one inhaler. That's pretty messed up to me.
So, yeah.
Buckle up, kids. This one's gonna hurt. So
Uh-oh.
I just moved to Italy with my boyfriend who is Italian. Going through all of his old paperwork today, and he showed me a bill from the hospital when he cut his hand open pretty badly and had to get stitches. It cost €4, which is the equivalent of $4.50. I am back for round
Yeah.
2 on this one. So I just moved to Italy with my boyfriend who is Italian. We're watching a movie the other day where somebody is running away and they get shot. And I'm like, you know what? That's their fault. They didn't run in a zigzag. That's like the first thing they teach you, to run in a zigzag if somebody's pointing a gun at you. He pauses the movie and he looks at me and he goes, who taught you that? And I'm like, you know, like teachers, adults, parents, like they teach you when you're young to run in a zigzag if somebody is pointing a gun at you. The sinking feeling I had when I realized that nobody ever had to teach him that when he was young, because that's not a problem here.
So another thing that I think about a lot is I have German
Interesting.
friends, Dutch friends, Polish friends, and they all went on class trips to concentration camps when they were like 8 years old. Whereas in the US, I never learned anything about the Native Americans, like what really happened, until I took a Native American studies class in college. They are sitting there learning about, and they like use the word genocide. They tell them we committed genocide against the Jews here in Europe. And in the US, they're like, natives helped us move onto their land and they just kind of moved away so we could settle. And they don't teach us anything about the Dawes Act. They don't teach us anything about the Stolen Sisters. They don't teach us anything about how Columbus.
I don't know about the Stolen Sisters, but that is so true. Like, they don't teach us the things that we should probably want to know and need to know just for history's sake. Like, come on.
Columbus wiped out an entire island in the Caribbean. And, like, they don't teach us about the smallpox blankets and the cholera and everything at all.
So I'm from Chicago and I moved to Denmark when I was like 14, and I've been in public school ever since I moved here. And I remember this one time I was with my friends, and this was probably like the first 6 months of my first year at school here. And I was just like, we haven't had an intruder drill yet. Like, when are we going to have one of those? And they were just like, what is an intruder drill? What is that? And I had to like explain, like, you know, it's like you're practicing in case someone comes in the school to come like shoot or something. And they're just like, we do not do that here. There is no threat of people coming to kill us. And then I was like, oh yeah, I don't have to be like scared for my life at school in this country. Forgot about that.
See, when I was younger, we never really had those issues like we do today. So when growing up, like, yeah, we learned about the fire drills, but I never learned about the intruder drills. My son has. I haven't, but yeah, it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse.
I was living abroad in the UK and I had a job interview. And of course, growing up in the US, you're conditioned to dress so professional, be prepared, have your resume, and all these things. So I was like that really much. And I remember walking into the interview and they were like, oh, well, you look really snazzy. And I was like, okay, that first of all, I've never heard that before at an interview. Then secondly, they didn't even ask me anything besides, hey, Kyle, would you like a cup of tea? And I was like, okay. Never was asked that before ever in any other job interviews. We had a tea and we literally like sat and talked about all sorts of stuff, personal life, their life, and we just had a laugh for like 45 minutes. And right afterwards, they're like, "You're perfect for the job. You fit great." And it was really crazy to me. And
Maybe they were just checking your personality. I've had a lot of people, a lot of employers do that. So it is heartwarming. You just have to find the right people. Like, there are good people out there. And then sometimes there's not.
it was a really fun experience. I wish the U.S. would just chill out sometimes a little bit more.
All right, so when I lived in France, I went to a cafe with my friend, and outside the cafe, there were a whole bunch of baby strollers with human babies inside of the strollers. And I was super freaked out, and I asked my friend, why would anybody leave their babies outside unattended in their strollers? Aren't you afraid of something happening to them? And my friend looked at me and said, why would you assume that anything would happen to a baby? Who would be so horrible to do something to a baby?
Why is it so different? Seriously, like, America is messed up, guys. Like, that stuff happens. You cannot leave your kids unattended. You cannot walk on the streets alone. Gotta make sure your car doors are locked. Your house is locked. Your bikes are locked.
Yeah.
I live in Warsaw, Poland now, but I always stay in touch with what's happening in the US, and I happened to hear about that Las Vegas shooting when someone opened fire on a bunch of concert goers. And it was very tragic news, but that day I also went to the movies, so I was already in a kind of weird mental state. And when I left the movies, I got on the tram again in Warsaw, and I saw this guy kind of being sketchy and acting weird in the last seat. And I kept eyeing him the whole time, and he had his jacket open, and he was holding something inside. He was hiding it. And I thought, my first American thought was, it's a gun or a knife or some kind of weapon, and I need to move away as soon as possible. So I kept looking at him the whole ride, and then he takes it out, and it was a beer can. He was sipping it and hiding it during the tram ride. That's what happens in Poland, not guns, not knives. And I started crying and laughing at the same time because that's when I realized, wow, that's messed up.
They're about to ban knives. Not really, but shoot, I'm surprised they haven't. You know, knives are essential, but a lot of people are using knives anymore too. So it's like, guns don't kill people, people kill people. I don't know.
I duetted this TikTok about a year ago, and I still stand by the fact that, like, we're significantly dumber in the States. School's a lot different here, but they learn so much more about life and things around us than we ever did. But another thing that I've noticed is people are so dependent in the States, especially, like, parents, I think, are more dependent and, like, feel the need to be in their child's lives more. Here, I'm sure they're great parents. I mean, 90% of the kids are super good, but, like, fourth graders are getting on the tram in the morning. Their parents are kissing them bye, saying peace out. Not the school bus, the tram. And you know what? At night, they get back on the tram and they figure out their way home. Like, the parents are not as, like, involved in the kids' lives, and they're so independent. But even, like, at home in the States, even me, who's almost 20 years old, like, I'm still dependent on my mom.
Okay, so I moved to Sweden. And when I got here, I wasn't feeling too well, so I went to the doctor.
That is so true. And another thing is, like, then you get that huge rude awakening, midlife crisis. Yeah, and then it's not good.
And the doctor recommended that I get an EKG, an electrocardiogram. Now, instead of worrying about my health, my first reaction was, I'm sorry, I don't know if I can get one of those because I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford it. And this sweet little man, sweet, amazing doctor goes, did you not pay the, like, $20 when you got here? I ended up getting a regular EKG, a 24-hour long EKG, a blood test, and a freaking checkup for $20.
So you guys do pay some amount. Right now, I don't pay anything at all, even for my prescriptions, which is nice. So yeah, but it's not gonna last forever. Like, this is still, like, I think former president, I believe he has a lot to do with that. So hopefully it continues on. It won't do it forever, but I'll take it when I could get it.
Best part of this entire situation is that I am getting better and I am getting the medical attention I need without going broke.
America never ceases to amaze me. It is. There's no words. So yeah, this is the last one. And I really appreciate you guys watching. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more content. And I will catch you in the next video. Bye, guys.